So in the previous video, I introduced a new loop, and that loop was called a for loop. And this is also called a counting loop. Right? It's good for counting up or counting down values. It's good for counting by 2s or by 3s or by 5s or by 10s if you like. It's going to give you values in some sort of order. But sometimes you have a problem that you need to write a program for where you don't know how many times you're going to repeat. And for this you need a while loop. So I'm going to introduce the while loop here. So this is better for like text interactions, for example, but for many other things as well. So I'm going to write a program that asks how big was the fish you caught. So I'm going to start with an input. So I've got a response variable. I'm going to set it equal to input. I'm going to ask the user how big was the fish you caught. Oh wait, actually let's rephrase that. Let's write this as, so I have my little ASCII fish right here. Do you like that? Let's say, was the fish you caught this big? And then they can either choose to say yes or bigger. I'm just going to assume the response is yes or bigger. All right. So then I'm going to say while the response equals bigger, we're going to make the fish bigger. Now, how we're going to do that, we're going to need a variable. So here's my fish variable, and I'm going to take this right here. I'm going to say plus fish, the name of my variable, and I'm going to put, oops, needs to be a string. So there's my fish right here. All right. And let's see. Actually, we're going to split this up. We're going to do this real fancy. So we're going to say fish tail is going to be that part. We're going to say fish head is going to be, oops, this part. And then we're going to say fish body equals this part right here. So now it got a little bit more complicated, but this is going to be real good. So how big was the fish you caught? It was going to be fish tail plus fish, of course, the middle of the fish we need, the fish body, plus the fish head. All right. If the response is bigger, we're going to make the body larger. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to say fish body equals fish body plus like another rib or scale or whatever this is of the fish. We're going to make the fish larger. And then we're going to ask this question again. I'm going to say response, was the fish you caught this big? And now it should be a bigger thing. And at the very end, I'll say, regardless of how big their fish is, I'll say, wow, what a big fish. I totally believe you. A little bit of sarcasm there. They might be exaggerating about the size of the fish they caught. All right, so let's run this and see what happens. So, was the fish you caught this big? I have my little ASCII fish right there. It might be hard to see on the video. And I'm going to say, no, it was so much bigger than that. All right, so there's the little fish, and it says bigger. Was the fish you caught this big? Look, now it has 2 little ribs there. I don't know if that's how hard that is to see on this video. I hope it's somewhat visible. Bigger. Now I've got 3 right there. It's much easier to see down here, right? The fish had 1 like scale or gill or fin or whatever these things are. And now it has 2. Still bigger. Oh, it's just the biggest fish ever. I tell you what, it was such a big fish I caught. You wouldn't believe. Right, so now we're getting this really big fish right here. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's actually accurate. It was that big, yes. That's how big it was. Wow, what a big fish. I totally believe you. Cool, okay, so we didn't know how many times we were gonna repeat, right? If this was a for loop, we would have to repeat a specific number of times. But since I have this while loop, I can keep repeating as long as I need to, as long as the response equals bigger. As long as it's the same as bigger, I'm going to keep repeating. This is very similar to an if statement. In fact, all of the syntax is going to be the same in terms of like using double equals for comparison, colon at the end. All the text is going to be the same, except for, instead of the word if, there's going to be the keyword while. And remember, keywords we see are, at least in my editor, are in this dark green. All right, so we're going to keep going until we get a particular value. Let's look at another little example. So suppose I import random, and I'm going to get a random number. I'll call it randnum equals random dot randint from 0 to 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat as long as I don't have a 7. So repeat until you get a 7. Maybe 7 is just my favorite number. So I want to continue while rand number is not equal to 7, right? Anything else will not be a 7. So I'm going to repeat this code right here. I'm going to get a new random number. I'm going to replace the old random number. I'm also going to print it out just to see what it is that I've got. And then I'll print. Finally, a 7. All right, I'm very excited about my 7 that I'm finally going to get. And now I'm going to print after I check the random number. So the last number that I print should be a 7 because I'm going to change the value right here. I'm going to print the value, and then I'll go back up and check to see, is that new number a 7? And if it is, then I will quit the loop and I'll bounce down here. So let's run this. And I think I got a 7 on the first try, which is ridiculous. So let's try it again. It seems I got a 7 on the first try again. This doesn't seem reasonable, but maybe random chance. Let's try it again. Aha, it was random chance actually. So now it took me a long time to get a 7, right? I was rolling all these random numbers. 3, 3, 3, 9, 8, 8, 2, 3, 8, 2, 1, 4, and all these things. And then finally a 7 at the very end there, right? So again, the key point is I don't know how many times I want to repeat. So I need a while loop. If I know how many times I'm going to repeat, I use a for loop. Now, just to show an example of translating between a for loop and a while loop, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write a for loop, I in range. We're going to loop, let's just make it smaller, 5 times, 0 to 4, and we're going to print I. I can do this with a while loop. In fact, way back in the day, there used to be no such thing as a for loop. You would just use while loops. So how would I repeat this behavior using a while loop? I wouldn't want to, but I just want to show this as an example of the comparison between the two. Okay, so I printed 0 to 4. Now what I want to do, I'm going to comment this out. I want to write a while loop that does the same thing. Well, I'm going to start with I equals 0. Remember that range starts with a value of 0, so it seems like I should start with 0. Great. While I is less than 5. Right? Range will go up to the value less than 5. It won't go up to 5 itself. It won't include 5. So I want a less than right here. Well, while that's the case, I'm going to print I, and now I'm going to cause a problem for myself. Suppose you think, oh, maybe this is all that's needed, and I'm going to run it. You might not see what's happening, but what's happening is it's printing 0 over and over and over again. I don't know if you can see the scroll bar, but it's like all zeros forever. And the program is still running. You'll notice I have a little red square here. I don't have my green run arrow anymore because the program has not finished. I have to kill it. I click that red button, and it's a pain sometimes to kill these. Go away, program. I have created, unfortunately, an infinite loop. It's a loop that runs forever and never stops. This is bad. We want to avoid this. It's not a problem with for loops because for loops only go a set number of times. They only repeat a set number of times. But infinite loops, or while loops rather, can repeat forever. And it's very much a pain in the butt to get rid of. I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to kill Pyscripter. Do you want to abort? Yes, I do. Do you want to save the modifications? No, I don't. And then I'm going to bring that back up. All right, so I had to kill Pyscripter. It's kind of a pain. So I just pasted my code back in. What I forgot was I needs to increase, right? The thing with the for loop is I goes up by 1 each time. So I'm going to print I, and then I'm going to say I equals I plus 1. Now if I run it and make this window bigger, I get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is exactly what I got with the for loop. So this is the while loop that is identical to this for loop. And so we don't really need for loops for anything. We could just always write while loops, but they're more convenient, right? There's a lot less text right here. There's a lot less code to deal with. It only takes 2 lines. It's very handy. So for counting or a specific number of loops, number of, let's say, repetitions, you want to use a for loop. For an unknown number of repetitions, you want to use a while loop. And that's the key difference.